All suffering is the result of ignorantly violated law, and after many repetitions of the same wrong act, the same kind of suffering resulting from that act, knowledge of the law is acquired, and the higher state of obedience and wisdom is reached. Then there blossoms the pure and perfect flower of sympathy. One aspect of sympathy is that of pity for the distressed or pain-stricken, with a desire to alleviate or help them bear their sufferings. The world needs more of this divine quality. For pity makes the world soft to the weak and noble for the strong. But it can only be developed by eradicating all hardness and unkindness, all accusation and resentment. He who, when he sees another suffering for his sin, hardens his heart and thinks or says, "It serves him right," such a one cannot exercise pity nor apply its healing balm. Every time a man acts cruelly towards another, be it only a dumb creature, or refuses to bestow needed sympathy, he dwarfs himself, deprives himself of ineffable blessedness, and prepares himself for suffering. Another form of sympathy is that of rejoicing with those who are more successful than ourselves, as though their success were our own. Blessed indeed is he who is free from all envy and malice, and can rejoice and be glad when he hears of the good fortune of those who regard him as an enemy. The protecting of creatures weaker and more indefensible than oneself is another form in which this divine sympathy is manifested. The helpless frailty of the dumb creation calls for the exercise of the deepest sympathy. The glory of superior strength resides in its power to shield, not to destroy. Not by the callous destruction of weaker things is life truly lived, but by their preservation. All life is linked and kin, and the lowest creature is not separated from the highest by greater weakness, but by lesser intelligence. When we pity and protect, we reveal and enlarge the divine life and joy within ourselves. When we thoughtlessly or callously inflict suffering or destroy, then our divine life becomes obscured, and its joy fades and dies. Bodies may feed bodies and passions, but man's divine nature is only nurtured, sustained, and developed by kindness, love, sympathy, and all pure and unselfish acts. By bestowing sympathy on others, we increase our own. Sympathy given can never be wasted. Even the meanest creature will respond to its heavenly touch, for it is the universal language which all creatures understand. I have recently heard a true story of a Dartmoor convict whose terms of incarceration in various convict stations extended to over 40 years. As a criminal, he was considered one of the most callous and hopelessly abandoned, and the warders found him almost intractable. But one day he caught a mouse, a weak, terrified, hunted thing, like himself, and its helpless frailty, and the similarity of its condition with his own, appealed to him, and started into flame the divine spark of sympathy, which smoldered in his crime-hardened heart, and which no human touch had ever wakened into life. He kept the mouse in an old boot in his cell, fed, tended it, and loved it, and in his love for the weak and helpless, he forgot and lost his hatred for the strong. His heart and hand were no longer against his fellows. He became tractable and obedient to the uttermost. The warders could not understand his change. It seemed to them little short of miraculous that this most hardened of all criminals should be suddenly transformed into the likeness of a gentle, obedient child. Even the expression of his features altered remarkably. A pleasing smile began to play around the mouth, which had formerly been moved to nothing better than a cruel grin, and the implacable hardness of his eyes disappeared, and gave place to a soft, deep, mellow light. The criminal was a criminal no longer. He was saved, converted, clothed, and in his right mind, restored to humaneness and to humanity, and set firmly on the pathway to divinity by pitying and caring for a defenseless creature. All this was made known to the warder shortly afterwards, when on his discharge he took the mouse away with him. Thus sympathy bestowed increases its store in our own hearts and enriches and fructifies our own life. Sympathy given is blessedness received. Sympathy withheld is blessedness forfeited. In the measure that a man increases and enlarges his sympathy, so much nearer does he approach the ideal life, the perfect blessedness. And when his heart has become so mellowed that no hard, bitter, or cruel thought can enter and detract from its permanent sweetness, then indeed is he richly and divinely blessed.